Continuing on with our review, we're going to look at question 2. You can see what question 2 looks like here. It's an MXD file that has Durham schools, Durham crime 2010, and an outline of Durham County. Question A says, how many total crimes occurred in Durham in 2010? If I were to right mouse click, open the attribute table, you see there's a 2000 here. If I were just to go to the end here, you'd see there's 18,856. So I just included all crimes in the data layer. Regardless of where they're mapped here. B, how many crimes occurred within a quarter mile of Fayetteville Street Elementary? Okay. Now, right mouse click, you can see here there's no attributes for my crime layer that tells me the distance from the school. So this would be an example of where I would use the select by location. So I go to selection, select by location. So I want to find all crimes in relation to schools are within a distance of the source layer, and I'm going to put 0.25, that's the decimal equivalent of a quarter, miles. You notice the difference here, the problem is here, if I were to run this query, it would give me every crime within a quarter mile of every school. That's not what I want. I specify Fayetteville Street Elementary. So I need to specify, and you also notice here from our last question, it doesn't allow me to use selected features because there's nothing selected in Durham schools. So a couple different ways I can run it. If I really wanted to, I could look for Fayetteville Street Elementary on my map here and select it using my Select Features button. Or I could right mouse click on my schools, open attribute table, and I can just go and look for Fayetteville Street Elementary. It's relatively easy to do. Here's my school name. I can right mouse click, sort ascending, and I can see Fayetteville Street Elementary. And notice when I highlight it in my table, it'll be highlighted in my map. Once it gets highlighted in my map, it'll be able to, the use selected features will be activated. Okay? And whenever we run these, we need to get an idea as to what a good answer, what a correct answer is going to look like. Okay, we're basically looking for all of the points or all of the dots within 1/4 mile. Quarter mile, that's basically going to represent our radius, so we're basically looking for a circle of points within this highlighted blue dot here. I'm going to click apply. Oops. Make sure I put 0.25 miles. And there it is. I can zoom in even further here. So these are all the points within a quarter mile of my school. And now if I were to right mouse click or activate my crime, you can see there's 113 crimes right here. And 113 points have been highlighted. You might not see 113 dots because some of these might be coincidental points, points located on top of each other. So I click on the crimes. And then these are all the different types of crimes right here. Okay, so that's the answer to question B. Question C, how many of these crimes were drug violations? Anything that has the word drug in there. Okay, it might be hard to go through all 113 to count the number because I see drug and narcotic violation, possession, cocaine, marijuana, heroin, all other. I think there's 17 to 23 different types of drug crimes. So this would be an example of where we would use a select by attributes. Okay, so my layer is going to be Durham crimes. I want to select from the currently selected feature, select from the current selection. I don't want to pick all drug crimes. I just want to pick the drug crimes from these 113 that I've selected. And then I'm going to use my wildcard character. This is going to be a little different than question number 1. Charge description, like, I'm going to hit a space right here, single quote, asterisk, hit the word drug, capitalize, asterisk, single quote. Single quote means that it's a string. The asterisk that I have right here means that it's a wildcard. I don't care where the word drug appears, whether it's at the beginning, at the end, in the middle. Remember, we were really specific about the previous question where we looked at all counties that ended in the letter A. Okay, so we didn't have a wild card after that A. Okay, so select from current selection, charge description like A. I'm going to click apply. Okay, and now you can see there's 15 of these here. Okay, 15. Okay, and if I wanted to, I could run some sort of summary too. You might see a question later that says, on what day of the week were these drug crimes most common? Now, if I really wanted to, I could sort ascending and maybe count these if you wanted to. Or I could right mouse click and do a summarize. Remember what a summarize does. A summarize counts the number of times nominal data appears. So I can run a summarize. I just need to make sure I store the location, day of the week. I just need to specify the output table. Okay, if you're running this in class, this might store it to a location that is not legal. So make sure you store it to a location that is legal. Now I'm just going to click save right here, cancel. Okay, but make sure you store it to a database. Okay, so make sure you store it to a location that is legal. Now I'm going to go to my C, my final exam data. It's for 2018. Final exam data. I think we're on question 2. And I'll just call it some output example. Okay. Try one more time. Summarize. There it is. And a question with the data format before I told it to save it as DBF. Now when I right mouse click, you can see I see 2, 2, 4, 2, 4, 1. Okay. So of these 15 drug crimes that we answered from question C, 2 were on Tuesday, 2 were on Sunday. Okay. So that's what the summarize does. We have question number 4 here. I'll talk about that in a second. Also, we have question number 3. I don't have that in the review, but in question number 3, I just ask about simple joins. If I were to click on the list by source, I can see counties. This is a standalone table that I have that has counties, heart disease death rates. If I were to right mouse click and open the attribute, it just asks, you might see a question about running a join. Are you able to run a join? Yeah, I can run a join here on this particular table based on this particular attribute. In this attribute in this table for NC counties, and this is my attribute table because it's attached to my features here. Okay, you notice here if I were to grab some of these counties in the table would be highlighted. In my sheet 1, if I were to grab some of these tables, they wouldn't be highlighted because a join has not been generated between them. Okay, remember what a join does. Basically, we stick this standalone table at the end of an attribute table so we can map it. The main questions that you might see for the review are, can you run a join? Okay, you notice we've talked a lot about FIPS codes, but you notice for this standalone table I haven't provided FIPS codes. So there's some caveats to say making sure you have FIPS codes, attribute tables. You notice it's called county here, it's called name here. That doesn't really matter because this is Alamance in proper form. This is Alamance in proper form. It'll be able to make a join. All right, let me go to question 4. I focus a lot on how to create maps. This is an MXD project that I've created. This is new for the spring 2018 semester, and I'll probably have this moving forward. This is a map that I've created. It's called Median Age by County, and it asks, what's the median age? You can see all of the information that I have here. I'll probably ask some different questions about this. How many classifications? So question A, what's the title of this map? This is Median Age by County. How many classifications does it have? It has 5. If I were to double click on my properties, and we've done this before, I can look at symbology. You can see over here under classify, it's under quantile. Under my method, it also shows that number of classes. You can see my divisions here. You can see, you can see this map here, how this lowest class goes from 25.9 all the way up to 37, because remember what a quantile classification does. It counts the number of times. It basically ensures that each class appears the same number of times. So if we're looking at data that is going to be very center heavy, okay, or normally distributed, which you see here, you're going to have a lot of data concentrated about the mean. So we're going to have some, higher ranges at your outliers. So you can see this range here is more than 12. This range here is more than 7, while the range right here in this middle class is less than 2. Okay. You can see up in the top here, I've got a scale. The scale of this particular map here is 1 to 3.35 million. So we can divide that number by 63,360 to see the number of times that the number of inches, number of miles for every inch. Remember that magic number that we talked about. So these were questions referred to questions 2, 3, and 4. My next tutorial, I'll talk about question 5, and then I'll finish up with 6 and 7.